The huge games keep coming thick and fast. Leicester picked up their first win under new manager Dean Smith at the weekend, and just 3 days later they travel to West Yorkshire tonight to face Leeds United in another massive game. A win sends the Foxes above the hosts into 16th, and here's our commentator John Dunn with all the team news.
Yeah, and let's start with the Foxes, Dan, following that big win on Saturday against Wolves. There are two changes that Dean Smith makes, and it's the return of their two leading goal scorers, 9-goal James Maddison and 10-goal Harvey Barnes. Both start with Jamie Vardy and Patson Daka dropping to the bench. A reminder, Harvey Barnes has scored 5 goals in 5 Premier League games against tonight's opponents. So it's Daniel Everson in goal, a defence of Timothy Castagna, Wout Faes, Kagalas Soyuncu and Victor Christiansen. In midfield, it's Yuri Tillemans and Bouba Samari. Ahead of those two is Tete, James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, supporting Kelechi Iheanacho. Up front, the Leicester subs, Danny Ward, Harry Souttar, Daniel Amartey, Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, Papi Mendy, Dennis Pratt, Jamie Vardy and Patson Daka. Leeds were beaten at Fulham on Saturday. 4 changes for them. In come Luke Ayling, Junior Firpo, Patrick Bamford and Luis Sinistera. Out go injured Max Wober, along with Brendan Aronson, Krysenko, Somerville and Rasmus Christensen. They're all on the bench. It's Elan Millier in goal. A back four, Luke Ayling, Robert Koch, Liam Cooper and Junior Firpo. Mark Rocker and Weston McKenzie in the centre of midfield, with Jack Harrison, Rodrigo and Luis Sinistera supporting Patrick Bamford. The league subs are Robles, Forshaw, Aronson, Somerville, Struijk, Ruta, Christensen, Gnotto and Greenwood.
Thank you very much, John. We'll hear from you again just before kick-off, where you'll be taking us through what could be a massive evening for Leicester City up at Ellen Road. Welcome along to Matchday Live with me, Dan Bates. I've got a League Cup winner and a Championship winner in their time with Leicester sat alongside me in the studio. Matt Elliott and David Nugent. Good evening to you both. Fantastic to have you on as ever.
As always, mate. Nice to be here.
Evening, Batesy. Yeah, good to see you, Nuge. It's been a little while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What are we thinking tonight then?
No, I'm excited. Obviously the Man City game, Dean Smith's first game, you know, pretty much a free hit, weren't it? No one expected a result, but it was the next batch where everyone was expecting Leicester to, you know, come out. Obviously the Wolves game, which we've won, Leeds and Everton coming up. So, you know, these next 2 games are massive, but, you know, Leeds away, it's a chance, an incentive to go and win the game and go above them in the league, and what a statement that would be.
Yeah, loads riding on it, isn't there? But it's a huge game for both teams. It makes it a little bit more enticing, doesn't it? You know, both sides have got lots to play for, and no one quite knows what to expect as well, particularly from Leeds. And you know,
Ellen Rowe make those goals.
Well, exactly, yeah.
6-1, 5-1, so you never know.
Yeah, well, you would envisage that, but you don't know whether it's going to be a positive or negative performance from them. You know, they've got their threats despite their lowly position and their recent form. You know, they're not to be taken lightly. If they click on any given day, they can cause you problems, and as can Leicester. So yeah, it's got a lot of ingredients there. Really looking forward to it. Leicester got to go into it with confidence. And we spoke last night, didn't we, about if there's you were sort of asking the question, is it a good time to play? Yes, it is, isn't it? It's as good a time as any, the way things are. So lots to play for. The changes that Dean Smith has made, expected, I think, and obviously that's a big issue, but probably didn't take too much time to make his decision.
Yeah, 13 goals conceded in their last 3 games for Leeds, so hopefully that trend continues tonight. A little bit later on this evening we'll be talking about Leeds, of course. We've got plenty to get through this evening as we build up to kick-off at 8 o'clock. We'll take a look back at that win on Saturday. It felt big, didn't it, at King Power Stadium against Wolves. We'll look back at the highlights and the best bits from that. We'll hear from the man that scored the winner and lifted the lid off King Power Stadium, Timothy Castagna, as well as looking back at some classic goals scored against tonight's opponents. Talking about Leeds, firstly, and about Leicester obviously going into this one, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Leeds might have thought they were heading in the right direction and potentially getting out of this battle. These defeats that they've had, this Leicester win at the weekend, has really dragged them back in. And Leicester, do they go favourites, do you think, go into the game at Ellen Road tonight?
Well, with Leeds' home form recently, then you'd think Leicester, off the back of a win against Wolves, would be favourites to this game. But, you know, I'm sure with Leeds' results at home, the fans are expecting a reaction. You know, there's no good getting beat at home by Crystal Palace 5-1, Liverpool 6-1. these aren't positive results, especially when you're down there. You want your team to be fighting for the badge and trying to get out the relegation, scrapping. But at the minute they're struggling, and with Leicester coming off a win, hopefully full of confidence, I think they can go into this game and as favourites, and they got a pretty decent record there at Ellen Road as well, past couple of games. So I'm hoping we can snatch all 3 points.
Well, decent record past few years, haven't they? I think both home and away against Leeds. Harvey Barnes in particular, standout individual, has a good record both assisting and goal wise. But listen, those two thumping defeats have got to hurt them. They've got to affect them. It's different when it happens at home as well. It's even more painful, isn't it? You imagine Leicester getting absolutely trounced here at the King Power. Has a damaging
Twice
effect.
in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Has a damaging effect and really hurts confidence. And despite they've got good attacking liveliness, but they haven't got too much end product too often. So it's not like they can rely on outscoring opposition. Far from it. But the signs are good. Without being complacent or blasé, of course, for me, Leicester go in as favourites on the back of recent results.
I think it's massive with obviously Harvey's record against Leeds and bring them back into the side. Maddison coming in, the Leicester's 2 leading goal scorers. I know Maddison and Harvey didn't play the weekend and they won, but with 19 goals between them, I think it's vital to come into this game against Leeds, who do leak a lot of goals. So hopefully that can go in Leicester's favour as well.
A lot of the performance on Saturday was about sort of industry, wasn't it? Application,
fight,
working hard, fight, whichever, all those adjectives. But what there wasn't too much of, there was occasionally, we saw it with the second goal in particular, that real bit of finesse, panache, a bit of quality. Leicester have got to show that same fight, but now they've got that quality in the ranks with Maddison and Barnes, the capabilities, and again, bodes well.
And Kelechi as well, scoring the goals. He's come back in since Dean Smith. I thought he was excellent when he came on against Man City, got the goal, could have had another one in the post. Obviously scores against Wolves, to get us back into the game, and we'll be thriving on this Leeds game, knowing that they conceded a lot of goals and he can come into and carry on his goal scoring form, hopefully.
That feels massive, having Harvey Barnes and James Maddison coming back. As you said rightly, obviously Leicester got the win without them, but before the game maybe there were a few ums and ahs about potentially where the goals would come from. But tonight we can see Harvey Barnes' record. It's 5-5 in the Premier League, 6-7 in total against Leeds, including his time at West Brom. He's got a fantastic record against them. Yeah,
and Harvey will know that as well. He'll be looking forward to this game. Every striker or winger as the team, they always love scoring against, and Harvey's his Leeds, so no brainer to put back into the team. I know he struggled with a hamstring injury, but he's trained, he's fit, he's raring to go, and he'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Leeds are that sort of team. They give you space, they give you opportunities that other teams don't necessarily, and also, I wouldn't say he's licking his lips, Harvey Barnes, but he'll relish the prospect of going up against Luke Ayling. Like, there are certain fullbacks where I think Harvey's not quite convinced of himself. When he goes up against the top notch, like the Kyle Walkers, he sometimes takes the easy option. But against just a notch below, as Ayling is, without being critical, Barnes will fancy himself and he'll test him out and he'll get at him and he'll be a handful for sure.
And Leeds being at home as well, they're going to have to. The fans want to see them attack, don't they? As well, they need the result, and if they're pushing for a result, there's going to be space in behind for Harvey and Tete to get in behind and hopefully score a few goals or set up Kelechi as well.
Did you ever have records, sorry Matt, against certain teams where every time you stepped onto the pitch you thought, I always score against these?
If Ipswich was mine, my record against Ipswich is ridiculous. I think I've scored 16 and 17, something like that. Portman Road and against whoever I play for, Portsmouth, Leicester, Middlesbrough, I always seem to score against them, but Harvey's his Leeds, and what a night to bring him back into the team.
You fancy asking me that question?
Yours, mate.
Nah, I thought
I just scored.
Tranmere fan.
I just scored one against everyone. That was it. That's what I get on the video clips every week.
Speaking of goals then, let's take a look back at what happened on Saturday here at King Power Stadium. It felt like a big game going into it, and the Leicester players certainly delivered.
Here come the two teams. 7 games to go, and everyone will be crucial for Leicester City as they fight for their Premier League survival. Wolves are at King Power Stadium today for Dean Smith's first home match in charge of the Foxes.
Fast gets there ahead of Diego Costa, and it falls nicely for Tielemans onto Kelechi Iheanacho. Iheanacho rolls in Vardy. Vardy's in on goal here. Jamie Vardy squares it. Tete's there. What a chance! It's blocked. It's a good block, but you thought Tete was going to score inside 3 minutes. The absolute expert at that on the pitch, and how hopefully that can translate. Tielemans has been robbed here. Wolves are in. It's a bit of a gift, and they've taken it. Mateus Cunha scores. Leicester gave it away, and a bright start has come to nothing because Wolves have scored after 13 minutes. Kelechi Iheanacho up over halfway. They've done a lot of defending. Can they punish Wolves at the other end? It's Vardy. Vardy's fouled by Jose Sarr. Penalty kick. Leicester did make the most of the break, and they've been given a golden chance to equalise here. Here comes Kelechi Iheanacho. Scores! 1-1. Maybe, just maybe, a mood-changing goal inside King Power Stadium. Fast now. Does really well to step beyond two Wolves players and feeds it to Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall thinks about shooting, does shoot, almost scores. Curling effort, which is just wide of Sarr's left-hand post. It would have been a beauty as we await the introduction of Dennis Pratt. Yeah, lovely football. Sumare to Christensen. Christensen pulls it back to Timothy Castagna, who sweeps it home for 2-1. And is that lift-off for Leicester in their battle to avoid relegation?
What a fantastic moment that was. Timothy Castagna getting that winner against Wolves on Saturday. The team news from a Leicester City point of view is that Dean Smith has made 2 changes to that team that beat Wolves. 2 very positive changes though. Harvey Barnes and James Maddison back in the starting 11. So hopefully there'll be more of the same of what we saw on Saturday. Matt, obviously the picture that's on the screen behind you there of Timothy Castagna sums up, well, what 30,000 Leicester fans were feeling at that very moment.
Yeah, it was relief, wasn't there? But excitement as well, wasn't it? From the achievement of scoring the goal, and you felt even in that instant, even what was it, about 15 minutes or so ago? Yeah. As soon as he scored, you thought, that's it, they're going to win this game. Whereas at other times, Leicester have occasionally been ahead in games, and you felt they were going to get pegged back. But the attitude was such that you couldn't see that materialising at the weekend. It was such a huge moment, wasn't it? The roar, the crackling roar around the crowd, the look on Castagna's face, as you say, and Kuntop afterwards, mopping his brow and looking relieved and exasperated almost at what had been happening on the pitch. But it was a real sort of sustained, determined effort on Saturday, I think, because at times they went 1-0 down. I wouldn't say they were outclassed, but Wolves looked the silkier team midpoint through the first half, and you thought, this could end poorly. But they hung in there, they battled away, they got their little turning point with the penalty, and they got stronger and stronger and stronger, and you hope to see an extension of that this evening.
Yeah, I would say you feel for the worst, didn't you? When you went 1-0 up, you thought, here we go again, but you showed that fighting spirit, Vards, running in behind like you used to see, winning the penalty. Obviously went on the pitch to take it, but Kelechi stepped up coolly, and then even for the winner, fullback, left fullback passing to the right fullback. That's what you want. You want your attacking fullbacks getting forward, getting crosses into the box, and to see your other fullback on the end of it. It's like Liverpool, Robbo and Trent, isn't it? Them two playing cross balls to each other. So it's nice to see defenders getting forward, chipping them into goals, and you can't just rely on the strikers to score them. And obviously, you see Kelechi's pen there. Cool.
You never took one like that, did you? No.
I was always high and through the middle. Keepers always dived.
We went on a little trip to Dubai recently. He took one just like that, but went straight over the bar.
I told you, I got told to miss.
Oh, right, okay.
One of them. Man United had to win, didn't he? No, but again, it was just so cool, and you can see like the players' reactions when you score as well. You're there, celebrating the penalty, knowing that they're back into the game, and I think they showed that steelness in the second half of staying in the game and then obviously getting the winner and seeing it out, was vital, because recently we go ahead and then we'll concede something late on or lose the game with a silly mistake or a mistake by somebody else.
You spoke about the goal, both of you did, how great a goal it was, the winner. This is obviously Bouba Soumaré. His performance in the second half was excellent. and he was obviously right at the heart of the winner.
Yeah, he's played the ball out wide, and he's won the ball, played the ball out wide to Christensen, who's, you've never really seen him in them attacking parts of the pitch, have you really? It's always been pegged back, because other teams are attacking us, but his ball into the box, and to see another full-back entering the 18-yard box for a side foot finish, great finish as well with his left foot, and again, that's what you want to see, and, Soumaré is probably one of the best half he's ever had for the club, in that second half, and, he was a real driving force and got the team forward.
Yeah, and it proves to himself, what he's capable of as well. I mean, lots of people are frustrated, I'm sure, the people who brought him into the club are, and obviously Soumaré himself, because without doubt, he's got technical ability, he's got physical attributes as well, he's an athlete, he's got everything you need in a practical sense. It's just like the application and the awareness for me. Sometimes game passed him by a little bit, or he's not up to speed, but he has that capability to be that all-round midfielder, which I think that's why he was brought into the club. And sort of striding past people and pushing them out the way, technical ability, picking the right pass, could bring goals or a goal threat into his game, but listen, one step at a time. But fair play to him, because I think his mentality was considered questionable. I think at the very top level, and especially in a pressurised situation as Leicester are now, you thought he might be one who was a little bit of a weakling, but quite the opposite in the second half. When he needed to be, to stand up and be counted, he was right there at the front, and well done to him.
That's what you need from your midfielders, innit? You can't just rely on people. Your Maddisons, your Barneses, your Kelechi's, your Jamie Vardy's to score the goals. You need someone to get the game by the scruff of the neck sometimes and drive the ball forward. And Soumaré did that in the second half. There was about, when you cost a lot of money, there's a lot of pressure on the player to perform, and I think if he can show that spirit he showed in the second half for the rest of the season, then I don't think Leicester will have a problem.
Yeah, he's got to do it again.
Yeah,
he's got to back it up, as have Leicester generally.
Yeah.
But as an individual, he's got to be as focused and as professional and determined as he was. Don't relax a little bit, because I think that's in his nature, to maybe want to strut on the ball a bit and play a bit, which he can. But if you do that in the wrong area against the wrong people, you get punished, and he's got to learn sooner or later, and it looked like on Saturday that he has.
Yeah, it was brilliant from Bouba Soumaré in the middle of midfield to help set up the winner, which was of course scored by Timothy Castagna, and the Belgian fullback spoke to our commentator Chris Parrott at full time.
Timothy, before we talk about Leeds, we have to mention the winning goal. He must have been thrilled to get there and to score.
Yeah, it's a big goal for us, because getting 3 points back here, and also I think we saw a bit of the real Leicester back today. I think the first half was tough, but second half we played better, and it was a very nice goal. The combination before was very good, and it's a very big goal for me.
In terms of your positioning, what's changed under Dean Smith from Brendan Rodgers?
It depends on the game. Normally on that one I should stay behind and only Vic can go, but I saw that I think he was Bouba was there to cover, so I said I'm gonna go, and right ball, right time, so it's great.
We saw what it meant to you and to the fans to win the game. How important do you think the 3 points are for the whole mood of the club?
Yeah, very big. I think before the game we had lots of doubts, and it's a very different atmosphere now after the game. So it's a big boost, but it's not because we won today that we're out. So we need to do the same on Tuesday. Sorry.
It's going to be a huge game, a big atmosphere at Ellen Road. What can you take from the first 2 matches under Dean Smith into that trip to West Yorkshire?
Yeah, we had some good plays. I think the second half against Man City was also very good. So far it's been good, and I hope it will continue like that.
Can I ask what it's like as a defender to train under John Terry, who, I'm sure when you were growing up watching football, must have been one of your idols?
Yeah, it's big. but I think when you speak to him, he's not being the big guy that he's very nice. He's laughing. So it's good. It's a good relationship, and then he brings us his experience, some tips, and it's been great so far.
And as a group now, you go to Leeds outside of the bottom three. I guess the message is we have to stay there between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, we know if we win, we go in front of them as well. So it's good too. The whole season the message was we're too good to be there, and now it's more like we're trying to hunt the teams above us, and it's a different mentality, and maybe it's going to be better for us.
And as a club, Leicester have had some very good days at Leeds in the past. Do you look back on those previous victories as a group as well?
No, I think it's different times, different players, and they've had another manager. We did the same, so we just have to watch what they did the last few games, what we can do to hurt them, and that's it.
That was Timothy Castagna there speaking after the victory over Wolves on Saturday. A reminder, if you're only just joining us, Dean Smith has made 2 changes from the side that beat Wolves. Those 2 changes being Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. The 2 fullbacks, Victor Christiansen and Timothy Castagna, obviously retain their positions after, teeing each other up for the winner, Matt. and how important a role will the 2 fullbacks, in particular Timothy Castagna, have this evening?
Yeah, probably a little bit more conservative than they were at the weekend, particularly in the second half. But still a time and a place to venture forward. Certainly, ideally, Castagna will be getting a taste for it, really. I don't think it matters what position you play. Okay, you don't expect to score maybe, but you're looking to score, and he has that capability. And like News just said there, responsibility's got to be shared a little bit. But primarily, listen, he's going to have his hands full with Sinistera, is it? Yeah. Playing wide left, movement sharp. He's a handful. You need to get down and close him down quickly. That's his primary job. Tete had his best game since Aston Villa. They'll need to work together well in unison. It's not his favourite part of the game, Tete, is it? So Castagna's got to keep on at him, get some help and assistance. Samare can, Tillemans probably more so, drift out and help Castagna out as well. But they'll just be that steady Eddie, Mr. Reliable that Castagna is pretty much week in, week out.
Yeah, I think, like Matty said, you've got to pick and choose when you go, because Leeds are going to have to come forward as well. And I think when you're defending away from home, it's a lot harder. At home you're expected to get a bit more forward, but I think if you pick and choose, maybe a counter-attack of Leeds, push too many players forward, and some of you can, counter that way, overlap Tete, let Tete come inside, do his stuff, and it'll be a difficult game, but I think full-backs are vital, pick and choosing when they go, because I think, as I said, Leeds will come and need a result just as much as Leicester do.
If you're a full-back and you're coming up against, he'll be thinking Sinistera, you're saying he's a difficult player to defend against. If Timothy Castagna is constantly going forward, that almost nullifies the threat of the winger, because he's got to drop in and help his defenders out. Yeah,
it's 50-50 in it. They're going to try and push Timothy and Christensen back, and Castagna and Christensen are going to try and push their wingers back to nullify their attacking threat. But if Leicester get in the ascendancy early on and try and keep their wingers in the defensive third rather than the attacking third, then I think it could be a good day all round.
Yeah, you sense as a player who's in control of the game at any particular time, and listen, you don't want to be taking gambles, especially away from home, but presuming or predicting that, I think Yuri Tillemans is going to win that, I'm on my bike, and he doesn't, and you've left your man. So that's all part of the full-back game. Personally, I think it's one of the hardest positions. I've heard a lot of people say it's the easiest position, but maybe that's me talking as a centre-half, because I used to hate 1v1s, and they got to deal with 1v1s many, many times over. And that's a real test, and you can really get exposed, but very rarely does Timothy Castagna.
Yeah, and there's going to be spells where Leeds are going to have spells in the game where they're going to be on top, and Leicester just have to, might have to shut shop, keep the forward at the back, and keep them out, and then just let the game just filter out that way, and then try and hit them on the counter attack when they've had their spell.
You assume that definitely will happen. Leeds are definitely going to have spells tonight, particularly in front of their home fans.
Yeah, that's what their Leeds fans expect. You expect a performance no matter what, 100% every game, and with the likes of Harrison on one side and Sinister are two really quick wingers who can cause any team problems. The full-backs are going to be in for a hard time, but it's all about your defensive unit, staying together, working with each other, and trying to keep that clean sheet.
Yeah, I'm not sure they've got that unity though. Really, it's difficult for them to forge that or develop it. Really, it seems of late, and I think. Speaking off air, that the Leeds supporters, they're unbelievable. They're so passionate, and there's a rawness about them. It's a great place to go and play football, home or away. But I'm not sure there's that connection with that the supporters would like with the players. The players, a lot of them are not local lads. Let's be honest, and I'm not sure they understand the history a little bit and. Whatever it is, however passionate the fans are, it's not working at the moment, is it? And that should be a massive strength, but I'm not sure the players there react as well as they could with the support that they've got. That could drive them onwards, but perhaps it's a little bit. I might be wrong, but it's a little bit of a case of just playing the game. They haven't got that affinity with the club, which is a massive attribute.
They're anti-Bielsa still. They still love Bielsa, don't they? They all still wish he was in charge because they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
Under the Jesse March and Garcia, they don't know what kind of system they play, who they are.
There's a few rumblings to the board and all that
as
well, isn't there?
It's just like that. I think I don't think anyone knows what the role is.
It's not a good mix, no.
Well, it certainly was a good mix on Saturday here at Leicester, wasn't it, at King Power Stadium, under new manager Dean Smith. And he's been speaking to the press, of course, ahead of this game with Leeds United. And he was asked how big a lift that win over Wolves has given the group.
It gives everybody a lift by getting that win. But it's not a big lift because they know that there's still work to be done. As I've said before, we're just taking it game by game, and this one comes around very quickly. So we was in yesterday, trained, done our debrief, and all focused now for Leeds at Ellen Road tomorrow.
Was it perhaps the way you got the win that can give everyone confidence? An individual mistake, but the way the team came together from a goal down together.
I think at this stage of the season, with the run of form we was on, just to get the win, however we got it, was important. But coming back from a goal deficit as well certainly helps the mood. We know we can do that. We don't need to panic if we go a goal down in games. We know we've got the capabilities of coming back now. So, that's a good position to be in. I'd much rather obviously take the lead.
It's quick turnaround, as you said, with the Leeds game, but also Everton next Monday. I mean, just how crucial are these 7 days? And is this a run that when you took the job, you thought these are the games we'll get results in?
I just looked at the fixtures in general. Man City, excluding Man City, there were games, where they're games that you can go and compete in and get results and get points. There's a couple of tough ones in there. Newcastle away, we saw them yesterday. Liverpool, but there's games that we feel we can go and compete in. So, we're not looking at this week in general. We're just looking at Tuesday and Leeds United at Ellen Road, which is a great place to go and play football with the atmosphere that their fans produce. And our job is to try and keep them quiet.
And just finally from me, what have you made of Javi Grazia's Leeds since he's taken in charge?
Well, I think they've had a bit of a struggle so far, a bit like us. They've been on the back of a couple of heavy defeats at home. But I'm sure they'll see this game as a big one to try and pull away from the position they're in, like ourselves.
How pleased are you with how the squad have taken the information that you, Craig, and John have given them in such a short space of time and ran with it?
Yeah, I've been pleased. I mean, we wanted to be aggressive on Saturday. We said that. We wanted to get the supporters behind us. I've been told by a few that a lot of people were surprised at the selections, but we felt it was a game where we needed a little bit of pace to hurt the opposition. And as I said when I first come in, I think we're going to have to be adaptable in the games that we play. But the players have been really engaging in all the meetings that we've had. The training sessions that we've had have been good. their attitude to training has been first class. So, it hasn't surprised me how they've taken on information.
Dean Smith obviously has had a couple of weeks now, hasn't he, with this group at Leicester. You were there at the Etihad for that first game. How important was the second half performance in that game to give his new side a springboard?
No, it was good. Obviously, 3-0 down at half time is not ideal, is it? But I thought second half when Haaland came off, it did change a little bit. Leicester got on top of the game. In the end of it, could have got something out of the game. If Kelechi's chance goes in, Maddison has a chance, doesn't he? At the end where he should have crossed it for Kelechi for a tap in. So they really could have got something out of the game. But obviously 3-1. The last 20 minutes especially, I thought he would have been really pleased with. And against Wolves, he put the attackers out there, didn't he? You had Tete, Tete, Kelechi, Vards, and Patton all in the squad. So it was very attacking side, and he wanted to go out and show the fans that they wanted to win. And in the end, he got the win. But you can't just. Now they've won the game, they can't just go, oh, we've won a game finally. They've got to take it to the next game. They can't just rest on the laurels now and just say we've won a game, we've got a breathing space. The next two games, Leeds and Everton, are massive, and there's no better way to go to Leeds now. As I said before, win the game, go above them in the league, just take the pressure off. But then you go against Everton on the Monday night and literally could go 4 or 5 points clear of the relegation zone. So that's the incentive, and these next two games are vital as well.
Yeah, it's difficult not to look too far ahead, isn't it? It's like you're picturing that one, as Nudes is talking there, I'm thinking,
6 points
safe haven, yeah, it'd be lovely, wouldn't it? And it's more than feasible, but at the same time, the opposite is also, I wouldn't say highly likely, but certainly possible. So it's ifs, buts, and listen, these are saying the right thing. Just focus on game by game. Everyone says it week in, week out, and it's all you can do. It's all you can do, really. But yeah, I think it would have been. I'm sure Dean Smith probably mentioned to the players, so listen, boys, it looks a bit of a serious situation, which it is and was, still is now. But a lot can change in that week. Those 3 games, if we apply ourselves properly, and a repeat of something close to the performance on Saturday would probably get them something out of the game tonight. And if they do that, just keep chipping away, all of a sudden, the situation doesn't look quite so dire. And like Nudes just said there, 5-6 points clear. Oh, that'd be a massive relief, wouldn't it? With some tough games to come at the end of the season, but Leicester will compete in them as well.
Yeah, I think the fans would have looked at these 3 fixtures and thought, if we're going to get points, this is where we're going to get them from. And it's been a perfect start so far. I got 3 points against Wolves, and going into confidence against a team who conceded a lot of goals is ideal for Leicester, with the players coming back into the team who can punish them. You know what I mean? So I think the fans would have been seeing these three fixtures, trying to get 9 points. Will be the ideal situation, but all starts today. You got to perform again. Like they did in the Wolves game, and get these 3 points and then move on.
Dean Smith has made a real point in his press conferences, in his interviews, of trying to get a unity amongst the squad at the moment, trying to get a feel-good factor. Matt, yourself, you've seen training, there's a real intensity to it, but that probably helps them when there's games thick and fast, particularly after winning. You can keep that confidence, keep that momentum. Yeah,
and team spirit's massive, the unity of the team. A lot of these players would not expect it to be in a relegation fight, so they've never been in one, so they don't know what it's like. So there's only like a handful of players, 2-3 players that have experienced the situation. So Dean Smith's obviously been involved as well in a relegation scrap, so he knows what it's about, and obviously Shaky as well has been at the club, knows what it's about. So it's up to the players to come together, try and get these results, and move on and try and get as fair as way as you can from the relegation zone.
Yeah, I think Dean Smith, he's an experienced manager, isn't he? Like 600th game. Yeah. Mentioned it last night. As a manager, at various levels, he knows the game inside out. Doesn't get ruffled by too much, and I think, as well as his calming words, just his nature will sort of alleviate some of the pressure for the players, take some weight off their shoulders. And I think without Dean Smith being at the club, if things had continued as they were, I don't think you'd have got a reaction on Saturday like you did against Wolves. You didn't get it at Bournemouth. Leicester went the other way, didn't they? Almost capitulated in that first half. The opposite occurred at the weekend, and I think a lot of that's got to do with the mentality that Dean Smith and his backroom staff have been able to bring in.
Yeah, both teams going into this game, completely opposite sides of the coin really. Leeds off the back of 3 defeats, Leicester having won on Saturday. Let's take a closer look then at tonight's host, Leeds United, then with Joe Donoghue from the Yorkshire Evening Post, as well as their manager, Javi Gracia. Three defeats in a row and 13 goals conceded in those games means Leeds United have slipped to just 1 point above the relegation zone. The 62 goals conceded is the second worst in the league and is one of the main reasons the Yorkshire club find themselves in the position they are, with confidence not very high.
Yeah, enormous for both teams. Obviously Leicester coming into this one with a win from the weekend, that'll really put them, I don't know, in good spirits, whereas Leeds on the back of three defeats, the last one the least damaging of the three, but I think the hangover from 5-1 against Palace and 6-1 against Liverpool, both at Ellen Road, it's still very much present, and spirits aren't exactly high or anywhere near that at the moment. But I think both teams know that these are the games that if you are going to stay in the Premier League, that you absolutely have to win. You have to beat the teams around you.
As you say, it's a very important game, a crucial game in this important moment of the season we are. And of course, we give the value of the game is for us, and we are really focused on it.
Is it the perfect game in the situation of where you are, because you have the opportunity in your own hands to potentially deliver a huge result that will hugely aid your fight for it?
You never know. There are six games left. All remaining games are important. You never know where you will able to get points. But of course, playing at home is the next game, and we have to be focused on this game, knowing we are playing against Leicester, that they are coming from a win, and it will be for sure a demanding game for us.
The home crowd and atmosphere at Elland Road was critical in Leeds' survival in the Premier League last season, and it's something they'll be hoping to repeat this campaign. The last 2 home games, though, have seen the Lily Whites ship 11 goals.
Always a full house in the Premier League, always loud, always rowdy, always getting on the backs of referees, when decisions aren't going Leeds' way, and opposition players. And you want that, though. You want a bit of atmosphere in one of the most historic grounds in the country. But the fans, they know their importance, and their own performance has been unconditional. Every week they turn up and sing their hearts out and get behind the team. I think what they're feeling right now is they want to see it replicated on the pitch. They want to see the team do something for them.
Thanks to Joe Donoghue there from the Yorkshire Evening Post. Just looking at some pictures from Elland Road, it's looking like a lovely evening up in West Yorkshire. Jerry Taggart has made the trip there. Jerry, is it as nice as it looks?
Yeah, it's a lovely evening, Dan. Great conditions for an evening game, something that would have suited me right down to the ground.
What are you expecting tonight?
Well, I think, I don't think there's any more or any less pressure on either team, but you've got to say that, Leeds probably have a little bit more desperation to win than Leicester do. And from watching Leeds here in recent years, there's only one way to do play, and that's on the front foot, try and get at you. So under Garcia, it'd be interesting to see whether that changes or not. And then it's all down to the quality. So at times Leicester are going to have to ride a storm. There's no question about that. But with a performance on Saturday, then they've proved to themselves that they're capable of doing that. It's whether or not coming away from home, hostile crowd, whether or not they can stick it out basically and see it through to the end.
How much of a factor could that Elland Road crowd be, Jerry?
Yeah, well, most of the players are experienced at playing here. And of course, when times are tough, that's when you've got to dig in, and you've got to convince yourself of that and not capitulate. So, yes, it's going to be hostile, but they're going to get used to that very, very quickly. It's all about what happens on the pitch at the end of the day. And obviously, with the two lads coming back in, without a doubt, they will cause a threat. Because desperation does funny things to you, Dan. You know, it can go one way or the other. So let's just hope that if Leicester do come under the cost somewhat, that, you know, they've got the minerals to stick it out and see it till the other side, because they've got the quality in the team back now to go and hurt Leeds.
Continuing on the topic of the supporters, do you sense that an air of any negativity there coming from the stands, like even prior to kick-off or in and around the ground, because there's a bit of resentment to the owners, isn't there? Frustration at at the results, and also the managerial situation. Yeah, it could turn into a negative, that vocal crowd, couldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think normally when you come here, there's a bit of a buzz around the place. It's more of a hum than a buzz. And I would say, I don't know, how far are we from kick-off? You know, that
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah, the stadium's still half empty. Obviously, it's going to be full by the time they hit kick-off. But as I say, it's not as buzzy as you would normally when you come to Allen Road. So there may be a little bit of that. There's more sighs and murmurs rather than shouting and singing at the minute.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. We'll hear from you again in about 10 or 15 minutes or so as we build up to kick-off. Let's get a reminder of how both teams line up this evening. Dean Smith, firstly, starting with Leicester, of course, makes two changes from the side that beat Wolves at the weekend. Daniel Everson obviously stays in goal. It's a back four as it was on Saturday of Victor Christiansen, Wout Faes, Kaglar Soyuncu and Timothy Castagna. Bouba Soumaré, who was so brilliant in that second half against Wolves, is in midfield with Yuri Tielemans. And then the two changes are Harvey Barnes and James Maddison in for Jamie Vardy and Patson Daka. Tete retains his spot on the right with Kelechi Iheanacho up front. And from a Leeds United point of view, this is how they go. Meslier is in goal. He's been under criticism in recent matches. Firpo, Cooper, Koch and Ayling the back four. Rocker and McKennie in midfield with Sinisterra, Rodrigo and Harrison in behind Patrick Bamford. Well, we saw some great goals, didn't we, at the weekend, in particular that one from Timothy Castagna. Let's take a look back, though, at some classic goals that have been scored against tonight's opponents, Leeds United.
Showing Leeds a lot of respect. There's a chance for Collymore! We're now beginning to see the real Stan Collymore. And here's a chance for Guppy!
Time to have a look at the cross, but he's just hang it up towards Akinbaye. He's put the ball in the corner from the header, and it's 2-0. Well, it's a rocky start for the Leeds defending. Here's Edie, all carried by the goalkeeper, and the reflexes from Robbie Savage, who puts it straight back into the net. Well, he doesn't get that many goals, Savage, but there he was. Taggart, 3-0. Less than half an hour gone, and Leicester City are running away with this. Expertly rehearsed and put into practice in the Premiership.
And what a great effort! Oh, what a magnificent goal by Nalis! That is very special. Lilian Nalis, the Frenchman, scores his first goal in the Premier League, and what a goal! Midway through this Barclaycard English Premier League match, and Leicester have got another goal. Paul Dickov formation. On to Izzy. Dickon. Well, the defender slipped, and that just gave him the glimmer of an opening. And there's another goal. And if ever a man out there deserved it, it's Scowcroft.
Again on the road, Maddison onto under, this could seal it, and it might fall for Vardy, and does! And that's 3 for Leicester. And are they on winning ways on the road again? That man Vardy, tapping home from close range as it was against Arsenal under the creator. Barnes, can Leicester do what they do so well and come back quickly? What a brilliant goal from Harvey Barnes! A stupendous goal, absolutely fantastic, right-footed, picks out the top right-hand corner. He scores again against Leeds.
What a goal that was from Harvey Barnes last season. He is in the starting 11 this evening up against Luke Ayling. That makes for an interesting battle, doesn't it, on the Leicester left? And we've spoken about his fantastic record against Leeds.
Yeah, and obviously he scored 5 and 5 in the Premier League against Leeds. So he's got a great record there. Obviously he scored in reverse fixture at the King Power, didn't he? Pretty similar goal coming on his right foot, little side foot finish. Obviously not like that one where he's just seen where he's whipping the top in, but I wouldn't mind one of them tonight. But I think he's vital for Leicester. He's the leading goal scorer. Coming back into the team, I think he'll be a threat on that left-hand side. I think up against Luke Ayling, who struggled recently defensively, so I think Harvey could be, in for a good game, full of confidence, and hopefully get another goal tonight.
Yeah, that's just like one area, but it's an obvious area to look at, isn't it? Leicester would do well to probe and that
just give the ball to Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, there's some games where you're screaming out for Leicester to do that, and they don't, because they can play in other areas, of course. But I've heard numerous people mention it. Harvey, just demand the ball. You've got the defender on toast. I'm not saying he necessarily will. Ayling's, he's dogged, he's determined, etc. But he's the sort of defender that Barnes can take to task. But it needs big performances all round. We can't just single out individuals. Tete needs to provide something close to what he did at the weekend. But I think, on the face of it, I think he'll get a bit of time and space like he did at the weekend, whereas other times he's been a little bit lightweight and he's got knocked out of the game. But I don't think that'll happen tonight. That'll do him a huge lot of benefit as well, the game at the weekend, in terms of his confidence. Leicester have got some quality in that race. I mean, I hesitate to say it, but I look at that lineup and I think, come on, lads, like, surely the worst can't happen with Tielemans, Maddison, Barnes, and Iheanacho, and others. Couple on the bench. They've got too much, surely.
Oh, you could have been saying that all season as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, I have done, to be fair, and I've regretted it a few times.
It's only Maddison and Barnes who really will probably come up the season with any credit at the end of it, if they do stay up. So, I think them two coming in is vital. Maddison getting in that number 10 position, getting 10 and feeding the ball through for Kelechi and the two wingers as well. But I think they're vital. As Matty said there, the lineup, you see the names, you think, mate, 11, on paper, 11 on 11, Leicester's team is so much better than Leeds', but have they got the fight to go with it when you need them in these relegation battles?
I hesitate to say form because it is one game, that win against Wolves, but Leicester in form as opposed to Leeds, very much not.
Yeah, exactly, and that we've got to take advantage of that. There's a lot riding on this game, and with Leicester coming off a win, with a bit of confidence, and Leeds home form being really dodgy in the past 2 games. It's a massive chance, to go above Leeds in the table as well. So, as you said, these games are all important, but it's vital that Leicester do get something out of this game.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Leicester dominate early on. Ordinarily, people think the home team and Leeds, like to play full throttle, if you like, but at the moment, the first thing they've got to be is try and be as secure as possible. They can't go gung ho, and Leicester, confidence buoyed by Saturday's result and performance, and there might be an opportunity, and that would listen. If Leicester could sneak an early advantage, then you are talking, aren't you? Even just the odd goal, because Leeds will go within themselves, or they've got to come up with some sort of reaction which will leave themselves open. And the crowd, again, we've talked talked about will become a factor even more.
Yep, and hopefully it will be the away end that will be bouncing at full time. There's been a free scarf given to every single member of the travelling Leicester Blue Army this evening. Hopefully they'll be twirling those in celebration of a Leicester City victory, just as they were doing on Saturday, of course, against Wolves. Coming up next in 10 minutes, we've got live commentary of the game. Don't go anywhere. Jerry Taggart and John Dunn will be talking you through every...
Because memories never fade, no matter how long. We'll still remember the moments of excitement and the impressions of Thailand. Amazing Thailand, now even more amazing.
Lamiat is the belief that perfection lies within the details, where the finest ingredients deserve the finest craftsmanship. In every pursuit of perfection, there is passion and perseverance, where attention to detail inspires a masterpiece that's balanced and in harmony. This is the Lamiat philosophy, brewed into every drop of Chang beer. This is the taste of Thai perfection. Chang beer. We brew friendship.
It's a very good evening from West Yorkshire. Ellen Road is the venue for the latest instalment of the Leicester City season. We're live on LCFC Radio for another huge Premier League fixture. It's Leeds United against Leicester City. City fresh from a weekend win against the Wolves. They are out of the bottom three, and another win tonight would move the Foxes up to the lofty heights of 16th position. Leeds currently hold that 16th spot, but they've lost their last three, two of which were here at Ellen Road, where they conceded 11 goals in the process. Leicester will be aware of the comeback from Leeds and the threat that Leeds will possess after those two poor results here at Ellen Road, where we're looking around the stadium, an older stadium, a traditional stadium, the big screen to our right, just in front of where the Leicester fans are gathered with those free scarves, showing some of their goals from yesteryear. They've just shown some of the key goals, the best goals they've scored against Leicester in their recent history. And just before you came across to us for the commentary, we heard some Leicester goals against Leeds. One of the goal scorers of those super goals is Jerry Taggart, a thumping header, Tags, and one I'm sure you remember fondly.
I do. I do. More because it was Rio Ferdinand's debut for Leeds. He'd just been bought in from West Ham, and he was marking me from set pieces. And a little bit of jiggery pokery in the box, I lost him, and bang!
You taught him all he knew.
The rest is history.
Another member of the Leicester squad who scored in that compilation. He's down to our left-hand side, Robbie Savage, in what was described by a colleague near us, a pyjama suit. It's all cream, looks like he's wearing slippers, a dark t-shirt as he glances up. I'll let you hammer him now, Tags.
Well, no, I think he's getting ready. He's getting ready for the beach, isn't he? He can smell the briny, as they say. But he's obviously got his little night jacket on there, his little night cardigan, just to make sure he stays a bit warm.
about an hour or two ago, it was quite warm on arrival. The sun was shining, but as we sit at the back end of the West Stand, there's a bit of a chill. Glad we bought the coats. But the stadium, Tags, you were talking to Dan and Matt and Nuge earlier on, it was half empty. There was, as you said, it was more of a murmur than a buzz, but all of a sudden everyone has found their seats. Now the atmosphere is building. I was speaking to one of our colleagues from Radio Leeds, and he said if things don't go well early, this will turn poisonous. So that will be in the Leicester City thinking of how they approach the start of this game.
Yeah, and Dean Smith will know that. You know, that, like you say, if the performances and what the Leeds fans expect, then, you know, expect that positive attitude that the Leeds fans have towards the team here at Ellen Road could very well disappear. And obviously that then does play into your hands when you hear the home fans booing their own players or whoever.
In front of us, the supporters in front of the press box, most of them with their phones on video mode, ready to film the players entering the field. Before that, they're joining in with the Leeds United anthem, which it seems as though everyone is on their feet, particularly over on the left-hand side, the Don Revie stand. It used to be known as the Cop. Number of supporters with their scarves held aloft their heads, spread out and ready to welcome the two teams that have gathered in the tunnel and are starting to make their way out into the cauldron of noise that Ellen Road is providing. But for Leicester, they are fresh from Saturday's success and a win against the Wolves. City taking to the field, looking for back-to-back wins, which would certainly ease relegation fears. It's a huge Premier League clash for both City and host Leeds United, who start the evening one place and 1 point apart. A win for either would be massive with 5 games remaining. Saturday's win for the Foxes ended a 9-game winless run, whilst Leeds have won just 2 of their last 9 games in the Premier League. Despite success on Saturday for Dean Smith, he does make 2 changes, but he's able to welcome back his 2 leading goal scorers, Harvey Barnes with 10, James Maddison with 9. More crucially maybe for Harvey Barnes, he's scored in each of the 5 Premier League games in which he's come up against today's opponents. So it's Everson in goal, Castagna Fast, Soyuncu and Christensen across the back, Tillemans and Samare in the centre of midfield with Tete, Maddison and Barnes supporting Iheanacho up front. It's Vardy and Daka that moved to the bench from that starting 11 from Saturday. 4 changes for Leeds. They were beaten 2-1 at Fulham at the weekend. In come Luke Ayling, Junior Firpo, Patrick Bamford and Luis Sinisterra. Out go the injured Max Wober, and then we've got Brendan Aronson, Chrysenko Somerville and Rasmus Christensen all moved to the bench. Meslier in goal. The defence is Ayling, Koch, Cooper and Firpo. Rocker and McKenzie in midfield with Harrison, Rodrigo, Sinisterra in behind Bamford up front. The Leicester players applaud the Leicester fans. They're in this West Stand, the old main stand. They're away over to our right-hand side. All we can see at the moment is the scarves that have been swung around the heads of those Leicester fans. The Leicester players heading off into mini huddles. And just on those 2 changes, Tags, great to see Maddison and Barnes back in the 11, particularly Barnes with that record against Leeds.
Yeah, it's an amazing record, isn't it? And I think he breaks another one, doesn't he, if he scores again tonight against Leeds. You know, 6 and 6, only the 3rd person, I believe, ever to achieve that. And also, to back that up, the bench looks a lot stronger as well, a lot more healthy. And we know that that's going to get utilised at some stage this evening. So, yeah, listen, 2 major pluses, Maddison and Barnes coming back in. But really, it's all about how the team perform, and especially how they perform when they haven't got the ball and they're coming under pressure. We know what they're capable of. They've got their tails up a little bit after that win on Saturday, but, you know, I'm expecting a bit of a cauldron here at Leeds this evening.
And in terms of that starting 11, as attacking as it looked on Saturday, there was an imbalance to it. Tonight, you look at that 11, it looks so balanced. Maddison in the 10, Barnes on the left.
Absolutely. And I think also, you know, the confidence they can take with beating Wolves. Wolves are a good outfit. You know, I was surprised how good Wolves were. I really was. Compared to when Leicester went there early in the season and turned them over quite easily. obviously I don't think Leeds are as strong as well, so they've got to carry that momentum into tonight with the majority of their top players on show.
We are ready for kick-off. Leicester City all in blue, Leeds United all in white. Leicester in the first half will kick from right to left as we look at the back of the John Charles West stand towards the Kop, the Don Revie Kop to our left-hand side. So much talk in recent days of City versus United after the FA Cup semi-finals of the weekend, but for the supporters of Leeds and Leicester, this is the only game that matters. It's a huge Premier League clash, and a win for either would be massive, with games starting to run out. Ball dropping out of play.